What's up, everybody? We back with another message, another video. Thank you to all my new subscribers and future new subscribers. You know we do nothing here without God because everything is spiritually led by God over here. We cover the world from a spiritual and physical aspect to get the raw, real, and uncut answers. So anything you hear, anything you see in these end times, may you test the spirits, aka take the words and visuals back to prayer with God, as there are many Decepticons running around in these end times sent from the enemy, had a strong, close, and personal relationship with God. Good, great, and awesome. All right, everybody. So going over some prior words concerning some of these visuals and sightings that people have been seeing and what deception may come from all of these mysterious sightings and reportings, okay? But before we get into that, 1 John 4:1, make sure you test every spirit as we live in the last days filled with Decepticons, bringing out much deception. And make sure Hebrews 4:12, you read and know that the word of God is the discerner of every thought and intent of every heart, all right? So make sure you are using that word of God to test and check everything you hear and see in these days filled with deception. Now let's jump into it. January 9th, 2024, word here. So the Father had given me a vision of activity happening under the water. He stated that things would be revealed in the ocean. So just keeping it pretty short here before going over the prior word, just to give you an idea of what it's about. May 12th, 2023 word. The Father spoke about this, but an increase of mysterious objects being noticed. Currently today, we see more discussion about mysterious objects spotted everywhere, but even underwater and many other places. Be sure to read the word of God, as the deceitful have wicked works at hand. So scripturally, we talked about 1 John 4:1, test every spirit. Please use the word of God. Please be careful to test every spirit about what you're seeing and hearing, no matter what you're looking at. 2 Corinthians 2:11, lest Satan should take advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. All right. John 8:44, you are of your father the devil, and the desires of your father you want to do. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources, for he is a liar and the father of it. So the father of lies is going to try to convince people, deceive people, that something is happening that is not happening with these technological advances. So under the water, mysterious objects, certain things, please make sure you are mindful and use the word of God. This recovering is for the purpose of keeping you aware, making sure you are active in the word of God and your relationship with God, and making sure you don't believe everything you hear and see, as we really do live in times where you got to really use discernment. All right. So we are seeing that steadily grow more and more increasingly in mainstream media and on platforms. Be very careful, because Satan knows exactly how to take advantage of somebody's lack of understanding of the word of God or knowledge. All right. So we will go over the prior word next, and then the events themselves slightly. Not too much going on with that we haven't already talked about. But peace and blessings, and I will catch y'all in the next one. I heard the Lord say, mysterious objects will appear in a rural area. This will lead to an interesting discovery. And then he was just saying mysterious objects will appear in general. Like you would just begin to see things that you've never seen before, and it will be peeking in. Then I saw this big body of water cave in. Like literally the water just caved in to where you could see what was at the bottom. And I saw something was shining at the floor of the ocean. So the bottom, I saw something shining. Right? Watch the waters, my child. So in reference to what he told me with the waters and showed me and so forth prior to this vision. This has come with a warning already. So all these things have already been warned about, with some additions with the water caving in. Just letting me know secrets were at the bottom.
There's been a ton of mysterious sightings on either U.S. coast in the water. I want to bring in Alejandro Rojas, a UFO expert, to talk a little bit more about what's been going on. It has so many people talking, Alejandro.
Exciting topic.
Oh boy. All right, so I'm seeing here that there is a popular UFO reporting app that you have that records these thousands of sightings. What are we seeing?
Yeah, so we've got this app, take reports, and we're getting hundreds of reports a week. The majority of these reports, I look at the videos and kind of analyze those because I've got a history of experience doing this. The majority are mistaken identity, but there are those that are really we don't know what they are. And we kind of take a stance, or we agree with NASA or the government, that really we need to start collecting data, analyzing this data to figure out what's going on. These cases are really mysterious. So what we've been doing now that we've got, historically about 300,000 cases in our that you can look at, but we've collected ourselves in the last years over 40,000 reports. So we're going to group those into collections and then look at some of the characteristics of these different groups. And the latest group we're looking at are underwater UFO, commonly referred to as unidentified submerged objects, or USOs, which is kind of a set of UAPs. And we found some really interesting accounts. We've got a couple interesting videos, one off the coast of Florida, one off of Mexico, and we've got a lot of great including off the East Coast, and even one closer to you all in Manistee there.
Oh. Oh my. Okay, so I have to ask you, I remember there was like a congressional hearing on UFOs or UFEs. Did USOs come up in that? I don't remember this term USOs before.
Yeah, it is not as commonly known, but it did come up. In fact, there's a former Admiral, Tim Gallaudet, who addressed this in those hearings. And he did talk about, cases where it's been reported that things move quickly underwater. For instance, an unconfirmed product called fast movers, where actually kind of a code name they've given these up. I don't know for sure that that's been done. There's been other reports kind of saying that the Navy just collects these reports, they get them, but they don't really pay attention to them, which makes it difficult to then analyze reports. So yeah, it is a thing that does happen, come up in the hearings.
So I'm seeing that U.S. Navy officials warn that this could pose.
Talk about this, because this has a lot of people going wild. The UFO tracker recorded thousands of USOs, or unidentified submerged objects. So not in the sky.
I don't like it.
But underwater. This was all over the U.S. coast. For this conversation, we want to bring in Ron James, the Mutual UFO Network.
And what we found is there's a lot of groups popping up that are actually creating for-profit companies to do basically what MUFON does, but they're still not stepping up to being as effective as we are. So the information is diluted and not really correct from what we've been able to ascertain.
Diluted, but no pun intended there. When it comes to USOs, is this a situation where there's actual proof, or do you think that that means that there's alien life in the water, or is this simply like, when people fly drones over a body of water and the drone goes down? Is it that simple, or does it mean that there's potentially alien life underwater somewhere?
Well, the more logical explanation, and something that's gaining more and more traction, is that there could be an entire advanced civilization coexisting with us here on planet Earth. They could be inside the Earth, they could be under the water in bases, and some of these stories that we're getting about encountering these craft, which has apparently been going on for a long time with the U.S. Navy, are starting to make sense. So it could be a combination of extraterrestrials that have bases here that are concealed, or there's the very real possibility that we're dealing with an actual additional sentient race here on planet Earth.
And finally tonight in the future of everything, I don't know about you, but I spent the weekend refreshing for updates on our favorite interstellar visitor, that comet or question mark 3I Atlas. It is up to a little bit more strangeness. Now, last week, we told you that 3I Atlas was getting way brighter, way bluer as it got close to the sun. Well, now there is a new report from NASA that shows that 3I Atlas might be picking up a little speed in, quote, non-gravitational acceleration. But what does that mean? Well, basically, it means it's being propelled by some other force besides gravity. Maybe it's thrust from burning off of chemical compounds as it got near the sun, which happens occasionally. It would be natural for comets. They usually burn off some of those chemicals, and that's what you see in that big cloud afterwards. And we would see a very big cloud around it once we get a very good visual soon, but we haven't yet. In the meantime, the hype is in overdrive, with headlines jumping straight to conclusions. Alien ship uses engine? I mean, we're not there yet. But before we jump to any of those conclusions, let's go straight to the source on everything interstellar travel. That is Harvard.